I'm sure like most busy moms, you've got a lot of questions about living a more green lifestyle and taking care of your family. One of the top items on that list is probably all about plastics. And I know it can be overwhelming. It's in the toys we give our children. It's in the baby bottles that they're drinking their milk from. It's everywhere. What are you gonna do? Well, what you're gonna do is you're gonna watch Mom Ed Green Living, where you're gonna learn plenty to know about plastics. Hi, I'm Kristen and welcome to Mom Ed Green Living. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Alexandra Zissu, who's a mom, an author, and just generally an all-around green goddess. So, Alexandra, what would be someone's big concern about plastics? What would you say?
Well, there's two concerns. So one, if you're, a diehard environmentalist, you're upset about the fact that it's petroleum derived. So any kind of plastic there is being made from petroleum oil. So, and then the second thing is, it actually props to the mom community, because we sort of honed in on the fact that there are estrogenic chemicals in certain plastics, including something called bisphenol A or BPA, and also something called phthalates. And now, because of our focus on it, it's come out of a lot of products that are used for babies and for children. And the deal is that, there's a lot of unknown, as I keep saying, but there is a possibility that as our children are growing and developing, these hormone disruptors can disrupt that development, and then there's a big question mark.
So we don't know what's going to happen as a result of that.
Exactly. You adopt the precautionary principle, and you defensively drive with your body and your children's bodies by minimizing exposure to these chemicals if and where you can. But that's the basic rundown.
I love that. Let's learn a little bit more about that.
Okay.
In fact, we have some questions from the CafeMom community. Hope you don't mind.
I would love to answer that.
All right. I'm confused about all the options for baby bottles. Are plastic bottles and nipples safe?
If you're doing plastic, the ones that are currently considered safest are number 2, number 4, and number 5, and you just look for that in the recycling arrow. If you're using plastic, please never put it in the microwave. When you heat it up, it leaches its chemical components into what your kid is drinking. And the same goes for food storage containers. So if you're storing something in plastic, you don't want to put that in the microwave. Same goes for the dishwasher. Exactly. So one of the things I love about glass for baby bottles is that it goes in the dishwasher and you don't have to spend the time hand washing. So here's a glass bottle and you're thinking, oh no, it's going to drop and there's going to be glass everywhere. Don't worry about it. It's shatterproof. Trust me, I've done it. I have concrete floors in my apartment. We survived. This nipple is flexible plastic. That might start to freak out the expectant mom. Don't worry. This is usually safe silicone. One thing to notice though is that there's no recycling arrow on a nipple, so you don't always know what it is. It can also be natural rubber, which is made from a rubber plant, which is also quite safe. Yeah. And another way to avoid all of this is if you are breastfeeding, you just use what you have.
Definitely, that's always safe. Breast is best, right? Best. And then when you kind of get into the sippy cup option, you can also avoid some of those craziness.
You can avoid plastic, or you can choose the 245 plastics that we just talked about, or you can go for a metal bottle. I like stainless steel. Sometimes these are aluminum. Again, I prefer stainless steel. It's a tried and true material, and it's certainly what I used. They even make baby bottles out of it now.
All right, next question. I try to be eco-conscious by reusing my plastic water bottles. Is this a good or a bad idea?
Although I'm a huge fan of reuse, it's not a good idea to reuse these bottles if you have one, because, and if you look on it, it'll say plastic number 1. This is the only time in the number arrow land where the number correlates to how many times you're supposed to use it.
Great
so
point.
one use only. And if you use it more than that, it starts to degrade, and it will start getting into what you're doing. And when I say degrade, I mean if you have it on your dashboard in your car and it gets warm, that'll start to break it down. If you have a kid that does this all the time, that breaks it down. I know, that's familiar, right? So don't do that. But if you want to do something like freeze something and have it on a hot day, freeze in your stainless steel reusable water bottle. Just leave enough room for it to expand so nothing explodes in your freezer.
Okay, next question. I feel guilty about the resealable plastic bags that I use. What are you going to say about this?
The market has really responded to all the moms who feel guilty about exactly that. It's super easy now to use an alternative, and you can use like a reusable cloth bag. There's all kinds of different versions of this very plain sack on the market.
So I know that these things happen to end up in pretty much everyone's household, and like many of us, we reuse them, we rewash them, we try to be socially conscious about this at least. So my dear friend Sophie Uliano from Gorgeously Green has a little tip on just how to make this reusable bit a little bit easier. It's time for Gorgeous. We all have a house full of plastic, but how can we make them more gorgeous?
Well, I like to save money, and this is how. So I reuse my resealable bags multiple times, but the drying them is the thing. So go to the hardware store, find some old dowels. You can make a drying tree, and it makes the drying of the bags a breeze.
And not having drippy things all over the house.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay, next question. I've got tons, like everybody, of plastic toys. Is it okay for my kids to play with them? And just what do we do with them after the kids have outgrown them?
This is a big one, and I'm going to try and break this down. It is confusing. Toys are a little bit of a Wild West experience because there isn't one thing like for food, USDA organic. There is not like one stamp for toys where you know that something is tested and safe. So there are two things I like to say, which is that developmentally playing is very important, and you don't want your kid not to play. So you're not going to suddenly take all of their plastic toys away from them if you already have them. So what they have, if something smells really suspicious to you, like vinyl, I would take that stuff away, especially if they're in a phase of life where they're chewing on things. That's a direct route of ingestion. And certainly after playing with any plastic toy or any toy at all, and before eating lunch or snack, wash your hands so that you remove that residue, direct route of ingestion. So that's step one. Step two is if you are in the market for new toys, or it's somebody's birthday, you might want to do a little research and be a conscious consumer and do a little sort of self-education before you go to the toy store. The worst things happen when you're in a toy store with a hungry kid who wants something. You always walk away with the worst possible toy. So set yourself up for success before you go.
Good idea.
And then I really love wood toys. I play with a lot of wood toys with my daughter, and one thing you'll notice here is that they're brightly painted, and as most moms know, that sometimes can trigger a lead paint concern. That's what makes paint so bright. So even with wood, you're not totally in the clear. It's good to be an educated consumer about that. So you asked, where do they go eventually when you're done? Because not everything is Toy Story, and not everything can live on in a new
forever.
Right,
yes.
Forever. So these things go somewhere. It used to be that you would just sort of take them to the Salvation Army, or you would donate them to the school.
But that's not okay everywhere, is it?
It's not really okay everywhere anymore. The legislation, which is a little confusing, has changed, and some of these places can't take them for donation legally anymore. So that means that a lot of them are just going in the landfill, which is something you might want to think about, again,
before
at
you
point
buy
of purchase.
There you go.
Will this last a long time? Is this durable? Will it break? How long can I have it? Can it turn into something else? Can that little school bus there be a desk weight on my papers? Just be mindful when you're shopping for toys.
I love all of your ideas and your education. Thank you for this, because it can be overwhelming. There's plastic everywhere, and there's so much information. How do you parse it all? So tell you what, start with one thing. Pick one topic. Maybe it's a plastic water bottles, maybe it's a stainless steel one. Choose it, commit to it, and you never know, you might change your neighbor, your best friend, your mom into doing something a little bit better, and that's the way we're gonna change the planet, one mom at a time. Alexandra, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching us here, and I really would love you to post your comments. I wanna hear how you're changing the world. And we're right here on Mom Ed Green Living. Thanks for watching. Next time on Mom Ed Green Living.
How about a milk carton?
That's a good one. I know in my community, you cannot recycle this.
That's so interesting because in New York City, these can be recycled. So,
Really?
Yeah.